Good evening and welcome to Sparty, a show solely dedicated to the #1 mascot in the world. And before we share what life is like for him these days on MSU's campus, it's important to look back and see how he came into existence.
The first Sparty mascot appeared in 1955 and was a papier-mâché Spartan head. The head was 6 feet tall and weighed more than 60 pounds. This Sparty debuted at a Jennison Fieldhouse pep rally before the Notre Dame football game. By the 1956 Rose Bowl game, the papier-mâché head had been replaced by a fiberglass version that was 30 pounds lighter. In 1960, the MSU student government assumed responsibility for the head. Records from that time to 1981 provide no information on who portrayed Sparty or how many years the fiberglass head was used at sporting events. In 1985, MSU Alumni Association Executive Director Chuck Webb attended an Alumni Directors Conference. There, he saw a Bucky Badger table tent produced by the University of Wisconsin. Webb brought a sample back to East Lansing and asked one of the Alumni Association graphic designers to create a Spartan version. They were to draw a muscular Sparty in full body armor. Based on this design, Sparty table tents were produced for use at alumni events and became a treasured keepsake. Early in 1989, a group came together to design and revamp the Sparty mascot. Research was conducted on Michigan State's mission, community, and traditions. The result was an approachable, fierce yet kind, man for all seasons mascot. Sparty would reflect the university's strength and character. To introduce MSU's new mascot, 6 billboards were positioned around East Lansing announcing his Spartan Stadium debut on September 16, 1989. Dave Russell, an engineering student and 1993 graduate, was in fact the original Sparty. Sparty has won 3 national championships at the Universal Cheer Association's mascot competition at Walt Disney World. The first came in 2004 and repeated in 2005. After finishing 3rd in 2006, Sparty reclaimed the national championship in 2007. Students that aspire to be the next Sparty must try out and be interviewed by the MSU Alumni Office. Students must be between 5'10" and 6'2" in height and pass an intense physical routine. Since the current mascot was introduced in 1989, the MSU Alumni Office has been overseeing the Sparty mascot program.
Nothing signifies what it means to be a Spartan more than Sparty, who has earned a well-deserved reputation as the most loved and most recognized college mascot in the world. Sparty is visible at virtually every Michigan State athletic and alumni event, and the majority of his appearances happen at hospitals, nonprofit events, and elementary schools. In addition, the Spartan Literacy Program has introduced tens of thousands of youngsters to the joy of reading. He's also unlike most college mascots because the majority represent the athletic department only. Sparty represents the entire university and MSU alumni. Welcome back. Earlier, we had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sit down with 3 former Sparty alumni who couldn't have been more excited to open up about their time as MSU's mascot.
So if you could each tell us which era that you were Sparty for, or how many years that you did it as well, Cameron, Drew, and Nicole.
I did it for a year and a half, from 96 to 97. So old, right at the beginning, pretty much of Sparty. So we really didn't have ESPN. We didn't have any of that kind of exposure yet. So right at the beginning.
Drew?
I did it. Nicole and I got on at the same time in 2015, and then I did it until I graduated in 2019. So just under 4 years.
Yep, same thing, 2015, and then I was a year before, so 2018. And I would say we were the best era of Sparty, if you had to ask.
I mean, I think we're biased, but I mean, can't argue.
Right.
Although there's a lot of national championships that preceded us, so.
Very good point.
A lot of people that built up the character.
When you go into, and you mention the training behind it as well, so that you all are, so no one can tell the difference. What does that training entail, and how many hours goes into it, and just the backstory behind, what it actually takes to be the character of Sparty?
Well, I think a lot of it really starts before you even get to try on the suit. You know, I think the process of applying, interviewing, trying out is really our initial way to see, does someone have what it takes? Do they want to be Sparty? Are they able to kind of uphold that legacy? Because it's more than just, a college student getting inside a suit and dancing around for people. You're really a leader on campus, and there's a lot that goes into it. You are this brand image for this massive university. There's a lot of weight to be held with that. So I think taking that seriously and making sure we not only recruit the right people, but instill in them how big of a deal this is. I think that's really the first step in making sure that there's a consistency in one character.
I think Drew hit the nail on the head. It's that understanding the character is the biggest part of it. Sparty's not necessarily a personality that can be taught. So there's a part to it where it's understanding how he reacts in situations. And there's not a lot that we talk about the tryout process because it's very secretive. But to be honest, if you're trying out, you don't know the process either. And a big part of that is you have to be able to understand how to think and how to work as that character. And I will tell you, and Cam alluded to this too, where there's maybe other mascots in the country that do things differently, but you will never see a Sparty at an event where it's like, this is his first event and, we'll see how it goes. There is a lot of time that's behind the scenes. I don't know specific hours off the top of my head where you're training, you're making sure everything looks perfect, whether it's the walk, the way they pose, but again, tons of hours behind the scenes before you ever see him in front of you at an event.
Definitely. There's a lot that goes into behind the scenes, like Nicole was saying, the little things that, and it's funny, we always joke about it with ourselves about we're our hardest critic. But you think about how much refinery goes into the little mannerisms. Oh, hey, your one's a little too high. It's a little too low. Hey, your flex was too quick. Your flex was too slow. It's about finding that happy medium in every mannerism, whether it's, a pose, a walk, how you interact with someone. There's a lot of, now granted, everyone has to have nothing.
I knew
signature. Exactly.
How you sign signatures. We all had to learn the same way. So you guys still do it this way?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and not to because the trial process is very secretive, but what really clicked in for me when I was going through this, I'm going to say one question that I knew what the answer was as soon as I read it. It was like, you get an interview like this, and it was which events are most important for when you're Sparty, and the answer is all of them, because every time you're in the costume, you're representing not only Sparty but the whole entire university. So every time a kid sees you, you have to be on. If you're walking from one place to another, you don't get to not be Sparty at time. So it was kind of an emotional moment when I got that question, because I was like, oh, I could do this. And
it really is every event, because there's so many different events. People always ask me, oh, you were Sparty. Oh, you must have gone to all the football and basketball games. That's so cool, dude. And I'm like, It is, but there's so many more events that were honestly just as, if not more, meaningful. You know, all the hospital visits, the community events, I went to a funeral one time and had a person crying, giving me a hug. And it's like, there's so many events that I think you really, almost no amount of training can prepare you for what you experience. You know, it hits you. But there's a lot that goes into it.
When did you reveal though to friends, or what was that moment like after doing it for those years? What was it like to finally be able to tell other people outside of your family that you were Sparty?
I was the first person to wear boots at graduation because I didn't hear about it before me, and I did it, and I think I'm the first person to do it. And I guess they've been doing it ever since, which I think is awesome. And I just wanted people to know. I just wanted people to know that I was Sparty and I was the big guy. And it was just a really fun time in my life. So.
And just to talk a little bit about the boots too, especially in this day and age when you are Sparty and you are being flown across the country with the cheerleaders and with the spirit squad, and you're on the field, you can't say anything. So it's super tempting to post that Snapchat story or to tell your family, and you can't do it. You have to watch everyone else do it. And so for 4 years or 3 years or however long you do it, you're pent up with this, I have the secret to tell and I can't do it. And that final release moment is when you get to walk across the stage with the boots. So we're super glad Cameron started that tradition for sure, whoever did. But I mean, there's so much behind that. And then that's your moment. And when you're going through it and you're doing events that are long or hot, you think to yourself, I'm going to have that moment. I'm going to be center stage with those really, really big shoes. So there's a lot of magic behind it. And it means a lot to us when we have the privilege to be able to do that.
I think this is both something Nicole and I can thank Cam for, because the boot tradition that this started is one of the coolest things ever. You wear the boots, you walk around campus, and that day of graduation, it flies by because it's so exciting. But looking back, it's hilarious because, like Nicole was saying, you get people that are like, I had no idea, like, that's so cool. You got people that are saying, I knew it. I totally, I knew it was you. And then you get other people that are like, why are you wearing boots? Like, they don't always fully get it. A lot of little kids might look at you and be like, why is he wearing like big shoes? So just being able to tell people, it just feels like you're being able to be honest with yourself. Like Nicole was saying, you're in the shadows for so long. You have to hide what is the coolest, biggest thing of your college experience, and you can't tell anyone. Obviously family and some very close friends, but it's not something where senior year when I had a group project class, my group project's trying to meet, hey, can we meet this weekend? Can we meet this weekend? And here I am, traveling for the Final Four in March Madness. I'm like, well, can't meet this weekend. Like, that's fine. How about next weekend? I don't think I'll be able to make next weekend either. Well, what about the weekend after that? Still looking a little tight. So once you're able to be out in the open, it just feels like a huge sigh of relief to then show people, hey, look at these pictures, or, oh, tell me about this story. What I love is I kept a journal of every single event I ever did, kind of when it was, what time it was, what the event was. And it's been really cool running into people having like, a family friend back, he was Sparty. And like, oh, no way. Like, Sparty was at our wedding. I was like, well, when was your wedding? And, I've had situations where I was like, yeah, that was me in suit. I was the guy playing Sparty. So I just think that's really cool to share that connection with people. Why
is that though, too? If you could explain to people, why can you not reveal who you are while you are actually Sparty? And this is actually for anybody, for Drew and Nicole, for you guys too. You can speak to this as well as soon as Cameron's done. Why do you want to keep it secretive?
Sparty is a as much a person as anybody else on campus, and it's important to keep that illusion going.
I would agree with that. Kind of piggybacking off that, I think when you keep it a secret, it really protects the character of Sparty. I think if it weren't to be secret, you'd have people running up and oh, is that Nicole in suit? Or oh, is that Cam in suit? But now fans look at it, it's like that's Sparty. People see Sparty and it's recognized as just one character. It's not different people inside the suit. It's one character put on by many different people.
And to keep going on what Drew was saying, so that character is something that we work really hard at. And I might be biased in thinking this, but Sparty's one of the best college mascots, one of the best mascots in general. And so there's a lot of things that go behind the scenes where people might not notice. We train every aspect of that character so that if we put however many people in that suit, which of course there's only one, but in any instance, you would not be able to tell the difference.
What advice would you give to anyone who wanted to be a future Sparty?
My background is in marketing. So I think a big part of understanding Sparty is that, again, I think we take it very seriously compared to other universities and businesses and whoever portrays mascots. And so it's not a character that's just played for fun. It's a representation of Michigan State. And we talked about it earlier, but you're always on. So it's like you have to be prepared when you end an event and it was a 5K race. There was the Big Ten 10K and it's outside. You have a mile to walk back to your tent and you literally think you're going to pass out, and you have to be a character. And it's not one of those things where you can give up. And so there's a lot that is on you to have that accountability. And so my advice would be, if you want to try out to be Sparty and you think you can do it, you can. That's definitely something that is there, but there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. And just being prepared to commit and understanding that it's probably one of the coolest experiences of your life. There's people that leave as athletes or like super these roles that carry with you for the rest of your life. And that's like something that Sparty is as well.
I would definitely agree with both of them. And say that you have to be willing to put in really long hours, a lot of hard work, and be humble enough not to get recognition personally, but to represent the whole university like that is such a privilege and an honor. And like Drew was saying, when you're done, you're part of a pretty select family.
Well, thank you guys. I feel like that's such great information for everybody to know, and fun stuff too, actually, because, it's like a part in time of your lives where you're just never going to forget it. Your family won't forget it. Your friends won't forget it. And so, yeah, it's important to keep Sparty alive. That's for sure.
don't get lost in the woods. Keep your speed. Keep your position.
Thank you so much for joining us to celebrate Sparty being the #1 mascot in the world. From all of us here at WLNS and WLAJ, have a great evening.